What the hell is this? Jesus Christ. What the? It doesn't even stop. God. Oh God, let me come back over. What the? Okay, what the heck? What the? Okay, I can't scroll. Okay, oh my goodness. Oh God, no. Ah! Okay, I'm fine. It's just a dream. Let me get out of here.
Sped Up remixes are everywhere these days. You can't scroll through TikTok without hearing a familiar song turned into a chipmunk-like version of itself. You can't go to platforms like Spotify, YouTube, or Netflix without hearing a Sped Up remix of an old song. It's obvious, Sped Up music is as popular as it's ever been right now. Go to YouTube and type a song Sped Up version of an old song. For example, Eminem's song Superman from his 2002 album, The Eminem Show, currently exists in a bootleg upload. The Sped Up version on YouTube has close to 30 million views and it was only uploaded a year ago. A 2002 song Sped Up gaining 30 million views in a year or less. That's crazy. It comes to the point where Sped Up songs are passing the originals in terms of views and streams, or it's damn near close to. Sped Up music is exactly what it sounds like, music that has been digitally altered to play faster than normal. This usually results in a higher pitch as well, although some artists use pitch correction software to maintain the original tone. Sped Up music can be applied to any genre or style of music, from pop to rock or classical. The current moment we're at now is the post-pandemic sped up renaissance. It's coming from the increase of TikTok in our daily lives. TikTok is the premier app of choice right now, and because the clips on the app are so short, generally speaking, music is sped up to fit into those boxes. And to simply put, TikTok has revolutionized the music industry by creating a new demand for short and catchy songs that can fit into the platform's 15 to 60-second videos. The platform has become a powerful tool for song discovery and promotion, but also a source of pressure for musicians who have to compete for the attention of millions of users scrolling through their feeds. To adapt to this new reality, musicians have changed how they write and produce songs. They are now attempting to perfect their opening 20 seconds, focusing more on hooks and choruses, and shortening their song lengths. They are also experimenting with speeding up their tracks to make them more energetic and exciting. This has influenced the musical tastes and preferences of the TikTok generation, who are looking for quick bursts of dopamine and entertainment. But what is the appeal of these remixes? Or in simple terms, why do we love sped up music? Well, studies have shown that songs with faster tempos are associated with positive emotions and higher energy. Sped up versions of songs, especially older ones, have thrived on TikTok for years. Demi Lovato's Cool for the Summer, Nelly Furtado's Say It Right, and Miguel's Sure Thing all enjoyed streaming bumps thanks to the success of them being sped up. Look at Miguel's Sure Thing. It initially peaked at number 36 on June 4th, 2011 and spent 24 weeks on the chart. The single last appeared on the Billboard 200 on August 2011. Now check this out. 12 years later, Sure Thing has reemerged on the chart and surpassed that pinnacle position at number 28 this year. This is obviously good for artists, as any song that was previously charted can come back to life. Even songs that weren't charted can just suddenly blow up. In general, the people that listen to these old hits are not those who were there when the original came out, which explains the re-emerging of old tracks. But what is it doing to the music industry, specifically the pressure on artists and greedy labels? There are obvious pros to sped up music, but what about the cons? Well, some critics argue that it's ruining traditional music by distorting the original melodies, rhythms, and emotions of the artists. By altering the tempo, the remixes are changing its meaning and substance. So with all that being said, we can make the conclusion that it's ruining how we listen to music as a whole, right? And it's ruining how artists are making music, right? Well, it's complicated because the arguments and factual evidence are so in between. So before we dive and make a solid conclusion, it's important to take a closer look at the driving forces behind the sped up sound. Perhaps there's more to it than just catering to shorter attention spans. Sped up songs are often called nightcore, a style born out of increasing a track's tempo and pitch. The style is named after the Norwegian DJ duo, Nightcore. Yes, that was an actual name of the group before they became a genre. Basically, they are the genre. The two Norwegians are considered by many pioneers of this production technique thanks to their 2002 high-pitched album, Energized. The two Norwegian DJs, Thomas Nilsson and Stefan Suderholm, were students at the time. For a high school project, they created a 13-track album by taking existing dance tracks and then speeding up to a tempo of 160 to 180 beats per minute. In translation, that's about 30-something% faster of the original song. song, and of course, shifting up the original pitch to give it that chipmunky vibe. The 2002 album consisted quite simply in speeding up tracks and slapping their own name on it, basically what we have now. You might think it's hard to speed up tracks, but it's easy as hell. All you need is a really simple editing app, then you get some random song, then you place it here, and then you turn it up a notch, and voila. Listen to that. Anyway, as these tracks increased in the early 2000s, Nightcore came to refer to the sound as much as to the original DJs. Typically, early on, Nightcore was associated with the electronic and dance tracks. Eventually, other genres received Nightcore edits like pop and rock, and then eventually R&B and hip-hop, and other genres not mentioned. Nightcore/sped up music obviously wasn't as big as it is now. It was on a much smaller scale of popularity, and it was seen rather as a small cult. Okay, cult is not the right word. Underground is the word I'm looking for. My bad. Although the group Nightcore only distributed their tracks via CD, these records didn't really take off until listeners in the early to mid 2000s began uploading the original Nightcore songs to the internet. It first seeped into websites like LimeWire in 2003, which was a file sharing website. However, when LimeWire shut down in 2010, most of the early Nightcore songs were no longer available because of some legal trouble. Luckily, some songs were still floating around on the internet, but it was hard to tell which ones were made by the original Nightcore creators and which ones were made by other people copying their style. This was because some tracks didn't say who made them. One of the first people to distribute Nightcore music on YouTube was a user going by the name 𝐒𝐿𝐂𝐃𝐈𝐀. Beginning in 2008, the user uploaded about 30 original tracks by the Nightcore group. It's important to remember that Nightcore the group, not Nightcore the sped up genre. The user 𝐒𝐿𝐂𝐃𝐈𝐀 was actually interviewed in 2015 about the role he played for sped up music and said, quote, "When I started in 2008, my goal was to put all the original Nightcore songs on YouTube for everyone to see. At the time, there were no other real examples of big Nightcore channels. Around 2009, when I ran out of original Nightcore songs, I saw this quote-unquote new Nightcore song. After figuring out where that song came from, I found out about Nightcore being sped up and pitched up. I came to the realization that Nightcore songs could be made by everyone, using reasonably simple audio software. I was at least one of the first people to really use that knowledge to make Nightcore edits." The very first YouTube Nightcore upload is said to be this video by JordyRocks512. It was posted in 2006, which started the trend on the platform, as many others began posting their own. In the late 20th and early 21st century, digital technology made it easier than ever to manipulate sound with software programs and apps. Anyone with a computer or smartphone could access tools to speed up or slow down any song they wanted. Okay, so why did Nightcore have a resurgence around 2008 to 2009? Why those specific years? It can't be out of nowhere. There has to be something or someone that sparked a motivation to make people post their own Nightcore edits around that time. It's no coincidence that the 2007 movie Alvin and The Chipmunks gave motive to fans of Nightcore to make edits of their own and post them onto YouTube. As some of you may know, the Chipmunks are globally recognized for their high-pitched voices and enduring appeal, and that movie showcased that the best, with some admittedly annoying high-pitched tunes. But let me tell you something, these annoying ass singing rodents didn't just start the resurgence of Nightcore in the late 2000s, they actually started the whole sped up music thing. Before Nightcore in 2001, there were the Chipmunks. Google would tell you that it started in the early 2000s, which is Nightcore, but it actually became popular in 1958, believe it or not, when Alvin and the Chipmunks were first introduced. When they first appeared in 1958, they were made to go along with a novelty record, Witch Doctor. It was written and performed by Ross Bagdasarian, but for the song, he went under his stage name David Seville. The song was about being unsuccessful at love until he found a witch doctor who told him how to make a woman fall in love with him. Seville had bought a tape recorder and he experimented with recording himself at different speeds to create a duet between him and the witch doctor. The voice of the quote-unquote witch doctor was in fact Seville's own voice. It was sung slowly but recorded at half speed on the tape recorder, then played back at normal speed, thereby speeding up the voice into a high-pitched squeaky one, or in other words, the Chipmunk style. Bagdasarian sang in his normal voice, while the witch doctor's magic words were in Bagdasarian's own pitched up chipmunk voice. The magic words themselves are just gibberish. 𝐒𝐿𝐂𝐃𝐈𝐀, walla walla bang bang. I'm never saying that again, ever. To the people who don't understand, I'll do a quick demonstration of how he did it. Alright, basically you gotta say 𝐒𝐿𝐂𝐴 in slow motion. 𝐒𝐿𝐂𝐴, tang, tang, walla walla bang bang. Now, stupid as that shit sounds, this is what we want, because if we now speed it up, it should sound high-pitched and normally synced with the other lyrics.
Ooh, ee, ooh, ah, ah, tang, tang, walla, walla, bang, bang.
Yep, that's it. The song peaked at #1 on the Billboard Hot 100 and was considered a major surprise hit on the chart and stayed in that position for 3 weeks. While Witch Doctor is not the first example of sped up audio, it is one of the most influential. The trend became a viral sensation in the late 90s when DJ 𝐒𝐿𝐿 sped up Roger Miller's 1973 song Whistle Stop and paired it with animations of dancing rodents. Within months, its popularity spawned a professional song, the hamster dance song. The Chipmunk moniker has also been used to describe sped up songs. Hip hop, for example, has its own subgenre called Chipmunk Soul. The name is obviously inspired by Alvin and the Chipmunks. Back in the early and mid-2000s, Chipmunk Soul became extremely popular among producers who wanted to experiment with using the voice as an instrument. One of the earliest hip-hop songs that featured sped-up vocals in a song was 𝐿_𝐿_Cool_J's Around the Way Girl, which is a sped-up version of All Night Long by the Mary Jane Girls. While the origins of the style can be traced back to the soulful groundwork of producers like Marley Marl, who produced Around the Way Girl, most people credit RZA from the Wu-Tang Clan for inspiring a generation of hip-hop artists to experiment with the voice as an instrument. However, it was Kanye West who took the Chipmunk Soul movement to the next level. In the early 2000s, Kanye was one of the most prominent producers in hip-hop, and his innovative use of sped-up samples made him known as the king of the technique. But in this case, Kanye used sped-up vocal samples for the whole song, rather than the previous hip-hop songs that were using it for a brief moment or two. He wasn't the only one that did that, but he very much popularized it with his debut album, The College Dropout, which was flooded with sped-up vocals. Hits like Slow Jams and Through the Wire filled the airwaves and were widely acclaimed. But the impact of this technique on hip-hop cannot be ignored, because the influence is clearly there with today's sped-up music. Okay, yeah, we know the history of sped-up music, but the real question is, well, is it hurting how we listen to music? Notably, one side effect of the sped-up songs is a loss of context. While these sped-up tracks tend to gain popularity, one of the main issues with sped-up TikTok music people tend to talk about is that they often lose their original context and meaning, as well as no longer sounding like the original artist. This means that listeners are not getting the full and authentic experience of the music, and are instead getting a distorted version of the song. Let's look at an example. Steve Lacy. Since you clicked on this video, I'm assuming you've heard Lacy's popular chart-topping song, Bad Habits, from last year, and the successful sped-up version around TikTok and other short attention span platforms. Well, when Steve Lacy toured last year, he had a moment where his quote-unquote fans couldn't sing most of the song, and instead, they can only get to the popular sped-up bit from TikTok, and that's about it.
I wish I knew you wanted me. I wish I knew.
The way nobody sang the next verse embarrassing as.
One could say that this is downright disrespectful because of all the hard work Steve Lacy put into the song, and is now just known for that one popular chorus, and that's it. This could encourage Steve Lacy to focus more on catchy hooks and less on meaningful lyrics in the future for TikTok, since TikTok is the new radio. I mean, it's been studied that short-form apps are decreasing our attention spans, so why wouldn't Steve water down his lyrics in the future and focus on making a song sped-worthy so it can blow up? And it's at a point where when an artist does have a hit, they or the label almost always have to release an official sped-up, slowed-down song, because if they don't, fans will take the initiative and speed it up or slow it down themselves and upload it to a platform like YouTube and make money off of the original song. So the artist really has no choice but to upload different versions of the song because of that. The pressure being placed on artists to actively create material suited towards being sped up at some point has to be frustrating for a lot of artists. You have to ask, since songs are being sped up and slowed down, is it building a fan base for artists? For established artists, it doesn't really matter since they are established. Plus, the popularity of sped-up TikTok music is also contributing to a culture of instant gratification. In general, it seems as if many users on the platform are more interested in creating and consuming short and catchy songs than they are in appreciating full-length songs and albums. The popularity of sped-up songs on TikTok is undeniable. Although they have had a positive impact on the careers of emerging and established artists, it remains to be seen whether they do more harm than good.
Might be something I leave, but I just hope, she don't want to leave. Don't you get me out of here. All right, good night, you guys.
If labels can simply create sped up versions of songs from their existing catalog and release them on TikTok, will labels even be interested in developing new artists? Only time will tell. So with all that, the question still remains, is sped up music ruining music? What is music? Doing this can be considered good music, and I'm pretty sure some weirdo would like it, just like sped up music. People like it and people don't. It's probably just another trend going on in music, then it will die off. History does seem to indicate that this could be the case. After all, the sub-rap genre, chipmunk soul, was once a big part of hip-hop at one point. Is this where we could find the sped up genre in another 2 decades? Nothing but a sonic reminder of the post-pandemic era of music production? Just like how nightcore was big in the early 2010s and became less popular until TikTok made it popular again, taking the name of sped up version.